I want to start by saying thank you to the NAACP for hosting this event. Tim and Mary and Susan. I was the president of the NAACP for Lake Elsinore about 4 years ago, so I know what they do and I appreciate their hard work. I also want to say it's an honor to be in a forum with a bunch of veterans. You know, I was thinking as we were sitting here, and I was going to try to state my script, but that's probably not going to happen. So yeah, just okay. But you know, a couple years ago, I had the fortunate opportunity to hear George W. Bush speak, the 43rd president, and he talked about service. And he said, you know, people asked me if it was a sacrifice, and I started thinking about our fellow veterans here, and you know what? Service is not a sacrifice; it's what we do. And that's what he said, and that stuck with me, and I just wanted to share that. But anyway, all right, a little bit about myself. First of all, I want to say I'm honored to have served Lake Elsinore for the last 4 years. I'm running for re-election. A little bit about me, I've lived in the city for 16 years. I have a bachelor's degree of science in human resources and management. I have a master's degree of science in emergency services administration. And I currently work for the county as a program director. I manage our state and federal grants for public health, for emergency preparedness and response in the tune of about $6 to $8 million a year. I've been married to my lovely wife Sharon for the last 22 years, and we have 2 great kids, Nicholas 12 and Lauren 10. The city of Lake Elsinore now is 126 years old. And you know, I hear folks down there say, yeah, we're 25 years old, we're worried about this and that kind of stuff. But we're older than the county itself. And but we've been neglected. We were neglected. And I think now, as we're starting to grow, we're starting to take our rightful place where we should have been a long time ago. And I think my efforts and the efforts of the current council have really moved us to that point. As mayor and council, I've made sure that we've had a balanced budget. We put more police officers on the street. We actually restored what was lost when the economy dropped. We got more traffic. And we've always made public safety our priority. Just recently we opened Rosetta Canyon Fire Station. So for a small city of 57,000 people, we have 4 fire stations, and our response time is about just under 5 minutes. So we've done a real good job with public safety and making sure we've made that our priority. Also, we've opened La Laguna Boat Launch. If anyone knows anything about that part of the town, that was a blighted area of our town, and now it's a viable resource for the city. I think one of my strengths is working with our neighbors. I work closely with our other cities, with Wodobar, with the county. And working with the county, we've been able to do a lot of good things. We've been able to get the county to help share the resources of the lake, pay for some of the lake patrol, but most importantly, getting Rosetta Canyon Fire Station open. Because for those of us that are contract cities, we share a lot of resources. Our fire engines cross boundaries every day, and so it was important that we made sure that the county paid their portion of the fire station that's in Lake Elsinore that our taxpayers have to pay. So that was instrumental. Also, we brought in a quit truck, which the city is very proud of because it's a resource that we didn't have. Like I said, the city of Lake Elsinore is our oldest city, but also we're the fastest growing city in the state. And because of that, we got to make sure that we do the right thing. A couple years ago, we had a visioning statement. We sat down, we did some strategic planning, and then we came up with a visioning statement. Of course, most of you know Dream Extreme, you hear it all the time. But our vision statement is that Lake Elsinore will be the ultimate lake destination where people can live, work, play, build. 1 minute already? Build and fulfill dreams. It's bad. You know, but with that vision and being the fastest growing city, there's really sort of 3 areas that we have to be concerned with. One is infrastructure. If any of you ever got off a Railroad Canyon Road, you know it's a disaster. I sit on the Western Riverside Council of Government as the vice chair. It has tough money of these regional monies that bring projects like this to town. And so I think I will be able to help bring that money to get that exit fixed. Also, the city has set aside $6 million to fix our roads, and that is so important.
Hundreds and hundreds of people that would come to these events to show a little more interest in their civic leaders. But we hope that you pass the word to your neighbors and friends, and so everyone will get the word on what we stand for and the commitment that we've made to our communities. I'm a native Southern California, born and raised in the Arcadia, Temple City area. I graduated from Arcadia High School, and when I was attending Arcadia High School, I met my wife-to-be, 49 years ago. We have only been married, excuse me, for 8 years. It took a long time for her to say yes, but it shows my tenacity. I kept at it until she succumbed. After high school, I joined the Navy, and I'm glad Brian brought up our fellow servicemen, veterans here on this panel. When I was a young kid of 18, I'd heard about Vietnam, but didn't really know what it was all about until I actually landed over there. I spent 4 years in the Navy, from 66 to 70, actually 6 years, but 4 years active. And then went to college. The Navy taught me the value of having an education. And I tried to steer my kids into the service, but they went on to college instead, their choice. But I graduated from UCLA with a degree of Bachelor of Science degree in engineering in 1974. Worked for an engineering company until I formed my own company in 1981. And Morse Engineering has been around ever since. We're a full-service turnkey operation providing land surveying services, construction documents, construction surveying, certifications, and so forth and so on. So my career has been in the land development business. My business has been in following the ethics of my trade as a professional engineer. And I have worked in virtually every community in Southern California. The reason I'm running for city council is because when I came to town in 2003, I, like many others, saw the potential of development and expansion in this town. One just has to go down Main Street and see our historical district, and then go north towards the freeway and see the vacant lots, and see, it's a shame, a crying shame, that our city hasn't developed more. And it just seems that periodically it suffers great demise, and then there are periods where it suffers or it enjoys great expansion and development. Right now, we are, like Brian said, a community that is only 25% built out. So for me, as a land development engineer, this is it couldn't be a better surrounding for me. I have developed over the past 40 years relationships with architects, developers, other engineers that have expertise and skills that need to be reached out to draw to our city.
Been on the city council since 2001. I have the dubious title of being the oldest and the most seniority in the city. You've heard the accolades from Brian. It's probably been one of the best councils I've ever been on. We're very progressive and very successful. I'm not going to go through flowery stuff. I'm just going to tell you where we're headed in the future. I believe in public service. We've increased the police. We increased the fire stations, 3 more since I've been on. At the same time, I hate taxes. We've reduced CFD taxes, or your Melrose taxes. One underneath where I live in Tuscany, $600 to $1,000, okay? Over at Canyon Hills, Track A and Track C, $220 to $260 per year. That's just how I feel about the life. I want progressive action. I'm going to take you through the city. I think that's the best thing. Give you an idea where we're at. Mission Trail and Court, I'm going to bring you this way. Okay, first thing, we have a motocross. It will be around for another 4 years. They got a contract with Lucas Oil. Next thing is our baseball stadium. Next to it, we have 600,000 square feet athletic building coming up. And we also have a war memorial for our veterans going in the front of our baseball stadium. Talking about traffic, I just hate to see that congestion. We're looking at 5 roundups. Mission Trail, Arkla, off, on, and Grape Street. We're putting in a deceleration line on the expressway so the cars are not sitting out on the expressway waiting to get clobbered. They'll pull over to the side. Take a look at downtown. Clean Extreme, volunteers. We've done a fabulous job, I think. And in the future, I'd like to make this a gaslight district, well, nothing but restaurants. Look at the crosswalks, logos. Now I'm going to take you out, okay, to Costco, Lowe's, Home Depot, Target, brought them in, created our budget, okay, tax dollars. You have Super Walmart going on 74 across from the Cameron, okay, that's across from the Panda Express out there. When they move out, I'd like to make the old one a Fry's Electronics. Take you down a little farther down Collier, crossing the outlet center. I spent Wednesday with the Chinese. In fact, I missed the pier coming up Lakeshore. I work for the Chinese and I'm calling some markers in. We're getting a pier with 120 condominiums on Lakeshore at the end of the road. At Collier, spent Wednesday with them. We're going to get either condominiums, the Marco Polo complex, and they committed to me to a pharmaceutical company. I want jobs out here. I substitute teach and I see these kids with no future, no place to get employment, quality jobs. Working with Honda and Yamaha, research and development, perfect place. We got the lake, we got the motocross. Let's take you farther up, okay? At Arbor Hill, been working for 4, 5, 6 years with Point Loma Nazarene for a 4-year university at Lake and Temescal Canyon. Take you over near the high school, Lakeside High. Next to the Lakeside High School, there's a coffee shop, 133 apartments, 33 homes. Take you up next to the military academy. We have Wave Runner, you can hear her, just fighting 5 minutes, okay? We have a hotel and a marina. Working with the Chinese again, Beijing, they're interested in the academy, military academy. The park, we put in $8 million for that. It really is ideal. We're making our lake a sports fishing lake. We put in 30,000 striped bass 3 years ago. 2 years ago, 8,000 striped bass. Yeah, the action capital. In other words, any sport you want to do.
In Corona, working with the Parks Department, we are working and developing let's say porous hardscape material that can be used, and we've gone to these different trainings in the city or the county of Riverside that shows that the material that can be used as water is poured upon this will then seep through a little bit easier than normal hardscape and go down into the aquifer a little bit easier. And so using less of the typical hardscape of asphalt and concrete and stuff will allow that to happen as well. But also working with the DWP, we're able to run more of the recycled water lines throughout our city. We are expanding that to fire hydrants, and we're expanding that to our parks. 90% of our parks are water with recycled water. And we're also working with the business districts and the warehouse districts to run recycled waters to their mainline sewers for restroom usage as well. So we're using more and more recycled water as possible as we can in the city of Corona.
Do you support or oppose the changes to the immigration law?
I will start that. The immigration issue is extremely convoluted. I'll take a little time with this one, since I was the one who had to get in front of the camera most of the time. First, the issue was never about race for the city of Marietta, as it was portrayed by several news channels. It was about a broken policy. The interesting thing is both the president and the House say it's broken. Whether you have an R or a D after your name, they say it's broken. But yet, they haven't been able to separate other party line issues to address this singular item that is broken. The protest that was in Marietta, there was behavior that was unfortunate and not welcome in our city. I want to reiterate that. In no way did the city ever endorse the horrible behavior that was on the news. The problem with it is you're dealing with two things, and I was listening very closely to both sides of that protest line. You have laws that are in place, and we cannot be able to do that. But at the same time, we still need to be compassionate. While it's not my responsibility, nor do I have the authority to enforce federal law, no matter how anyone gets here, you need to treat them with compassion. And when you separate the two and you think of it like that, let the federal authority enforce their responsibility. Our job is to make sure, my job at the time was to make sure my residents stayed safe and everyone who passed through it stayed safe. And that's the
Number one, no, I don't support changes to our current immigration laws. I think our current immigration laws are in place for a reason. If you look back in history, there was a 1986, a Republican, Ronald Reagan, he signed what was known as an amnesty bill, and it changed nothing. So we're 20 plus years, almost 20 years down the road, and we're dealing with the same issue. So no, We have existing laws that we're not enforcing. But I want to say that I too believe that we need to be compassionate with people when they come to this country. But if they violate the law, then it has to be processed as quickly and as humanely as possible. The other statistic to understand is that I understand is that it is not just the border crisis. You know, one of our major immigration problems is we have people who come to this country legally but overstay their visas, and nothing's done about that. So, and it's not just Hispanic population, it's from worldwide population.
Most of it is from the quality of the community members, from you raising your children, how you're raising them, from people volunteering to coach, getting out there. It's from the community working together as a partnership with the city, as the city's meant as a support. Sometimes elected officials start to believe that all decisions are stemming from them, and if they do, they're fools. The power is with the people. The role of the government is to support that, is to support our growth. It's all about equal opportunities and providing the means and the path to that. I want to stay out of your way and prop you up when you need it. That's the role of the government at every level. And probably it's a little too big. I want to keep work local. We're talking a lot about that, working together. The infrastructure, the traffic, that's a county-wide issue. Going up to 15 to 215, I commute, I make that drive, and it's horrible, it's awful. Again, that affects quality of life. That's less time I'm with my family. I can't volunteer to do some of the things I want to do. I want to coach again. But with the drive, I can't make it to practice. There's things that are missing. So these are things that we need to do to get work local for us. That'll help mitigate the traffic. And we've talked about many of the different reasons and ways of doing it. And I agree with the partnerships. I definitely want to make partnerships with the cities around us, and even the other counties work together. Southern California is a beacon compared to, I would say, the rest of California. So I'm not running for the title. I already have the two best titles, husband and father. That's my pride.
I talked about service in my introductory remarks, and I talked about a little bit of my background. But as a senior officer, I have a lot of experiences that translate to public service, and specifically budgeting. I understand how to manage multi-million-dollar budgets. I have done so. I know how to establish priorities. And those are some of the mechanics that I just wanted to make sure I stated. However, I want to also share another part. My background, similar to Brian from Lake Elsinore, I've been all over the world. I think I too have been to, I think I can say all 50 states and over 100 countries. I've lived among other cultures. I have one very vivid memory I can share of, as a Christian man being on my knee praying right next to Saudi Arabian Marines, praying to their God as we were getting ready to cross the Bergen to Kuwait in 1991. And many of us